My name is Terry Lynch. I'm with Or UFO. I found myself searching for a passageway one day. And that passageway leads right across the complete section of the Cascades, which I'm sitting in front of at the moment. On top of one peak. I want to make sure that everybody sees the type of things that we find in the process of research for ufology. I have located a couple that's sitting here on the top of Blind Peak. She's facing south. He's facing north.
The Middle, Cascadia Guides, a Let's production, in conjunction with Alien Strand Films.
Pilots in two different planes, one a Learjet, the other an American Airlines jet, reported seeing a mysterious object over Arizona last month, we have learned. The exchange with air traffic control sounded like something out of the Twilight Zone. Number 71 Papa Golf, good.
Yeah, there was anybody above us that passed us like 30 seconds ago.
Number 71 Papa Golf, negative.
Something. A UFO. It's American 1095, yeah, something just passed over us, like don't know what it was, but it's at least 2,000-3,000 feet above us, so yeah, it passed right over the top of us.
No one figured out what it was. Other pilots did say they saw nothing.
The purpose of the program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, was really designed to do just that. From a national security perspective, identify those things that we see, whether we see them electro-optically, we see them with radar, we see them as eyewitness reports, through a myriad of different ways and avenues that we receive the information, and try to ascertain and determine if that information is a potential threat to national security.
What's up, everyone? This is Arizona Gallegos, and you're listening to Alien Strand Podcast with Donald Ledesma. Check out my Facebook page at Arizona Secret Backyard. Hit me a like, share, and follow. I'll see you there.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. It's going to be an interesting one today because it's not going to be a very long one. But before we get started, I hope you guys enjoy Alien Strand and what all the production that we put out for you guys on a weekly basis. Now we're starting to put out a little bit more, and you can find us on YouTube. So remember, go to our YouTube page, check us out there. Hit us a like, subscribe. Remember, if we get 1,000 subscribers to YouTube, well, we're going to put the movie The Middle, which you just heard a commercial of, on there for sure. So, speaking of The Middle, we are now on Amazon Prime Video. So if you guys ever check that out, please check it out on Amazon Prime Video. It's only like $2.99, very inexpensive, reasonable price. Check out our documentary on Mr. Terry Lynch and how we follow him around Oregon there, and just to see what's up in the sky, because there's just a lot of things out there that we just don't understand, right? And that's what this documentary is about. It's about to, to follow his story and other folks as well. So please check that out. And we are now on Hoopla. So Hoopla, Hoopla. If you don't know what Hoopla is, it's almost like a library, right? So like you go to your local library here in the States, you have a library card. Well, they have their own own little website, so you can check out movies. So now we are there on Hoopla. You just put your library card in there, sign in, and it'll let you rent these movies out. A little bit cheaper too, I believe. I'm not sure, but I know that's what that is. You'll be catching us on Tubi TV as well, the documentary, and all kinds of places. Speaking of that, Alien Strand is all over the place. Our audio podcasts. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Alexa Media Player, Player FM, Podcast Addict, Spreaker, Castbox, Overcast, FeedSpot, Amazon Music. We are everywhere. Cast Mix, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're there. You can even ask Alexa, she'll play you some Alien Strand podcast. And thank you guys for, listening to our show, because, we like putting out content on, different things. And I know that you guys have been actually checking out, the videos that we have there on YouTube with Mr. Terry Lynch and Cindy Grigsby and all the other folks that we've been putting on the video aspect part of the podcast, So, we really like doing that as well as the audio too, because we like to show our faces out there. Not that we have pretty faces or anything, but, you guys get to see the images that we put out and what we're talking about. So that's a lot of things that happen on the YouTube. You get to actually see the images that we're putting out as far as videos. You get to see the pictures that we put out on UFOs, especially the ones recently on volcanoes, right? So, and that's what Alien Strand is about, to put the information out to you guys. Now, if you're new to ufology, well, welcome to ufology. Ufology has been growing and growing and growing ever since past few years. There's been so many sightings in the sky. Of course, they're on Alien Strand, they're on Facebook. You can catch a lot of our stuff that we put out there, and that's a podcast page, right, for this podcast. And we put out daily images and videos that come out for you guys, so you can check it out and just to see what's going out there in the sky or on a daily basis, or something that went viral. You get to see it there. You can catch us on Instagram too. So if you go to @AlienStrand, they're on Instagram. You can find us there. You can follow us there. You can follow us on Twitter too, and you can follow me at Donald Ledesma or at Don Leds. And then of course Leds Productions, that's at I believe Leds 1967. You can find us there at Instagram. So if you want to follow us there, you can. And we appreciate everything that you guys do. We're on all over many platforms, and that's because we like to get the information out to you guys as best that we can. So today I'm not going to have a guest, but I do want to give some information to you guys today, because we've had a lot of things happen in the sky, and today's podcast, I want to call it Friend or UFO instead of Friend or Foe, right? So, because of course the balloon thing, we all found out about that and what that was all about, and I just want to reiterate on the things that happened, and what we're starting to, all the ufologists out there are trying to put together. People are, posting a lot of these photos and then a couple of videos of things, but now these days it's kind of hard to tell, especially with the new CGI, computer generated imagery. That's what a lot of people do these days to grab a lot of attention, unfortunately, on a lot of these platforms. So we try to do is, it's usually the ones that don't look like Star Trek and Star Wars kind of looking crafts. If it doesn't look like that, it's pretty close to a saucer shape, well then that's pretty much going to be as close as it's going to get, and a cigar shaped as far as that, and a Tic Tac. So it's just one of those things that we have to talk about sometimes, and it bothers me at times, because people are just kind of doing this, and once we start sharing a lot of this stuff, as we do on Alien Strand, a lot of people say, oh, that's fake. Oh, that's fake. We just throw it out there, first of all. Okay? So this is up to you to decide. Everything that we put, we're not trying to make you believe. That's for you to decide yourself. And if you figure out that it's fake, or please add a comment on there, share the link where it was made fraudulently, and just see where the source came from. Or if you know how to do your own analysis on it, as far as spectrum analysis, with your phone or your computer, please be free to do it that way as well. We always appreciate that kind of input from you, because it's easy to say that's fake, right? But it's not easy to sit there and try to figure out why it's fake or how it's fake, right? And that's what me and Terry always talked about. A lot of people, they make fun of ufologists a lot of times, and they just say, well, you guys are just, trying to make a quick buck or whatever. And that's not even the truth of it. A lot of folks out there don't understand that people have their boots on the ground, which means that they have their, they're out there when it's cold, it's freezing out there. They're out in the, 10 miles out into the country or on top of a mountain somewhere. It could be snowing, and they're putting the cameras in the sky or their meters everywhere so they can try to grab some kind of data, right? And that's the important part of, ufologists and what they do. And I applaud them for that. And it's, like I said, it's easy to say it's fake or whatever you're capturing. This guy's not fake, but that's not you on the ground doing this. So please, before you comment or something like that, just remember these people are out there, and these are the real ufologists. These are the real people that are actually going out there and doing these things. They're actually, taking time away from their jobs or their families so they can, try to get videos, images, photos, analysis, everything they can do. They put these fancy, programs on their computers, sometimes cost $200, $300, $400, so they can try to, do analysis on these. Like Mr. Kev Andrews there in United Kingdom. He's busting, his tail, figuring out a lot of these images and trying to figure out exactly what they are, right? So, and that's what we're trying to do here with Ufology and Alien Strand. And this is why I put a lot of my guests on there, because these are the people that have their boots on the ground. They're not sitting in a chair, explaining things, on a screen sometimes, and just going, city to city to city, and just kind of giving you their analysis on what they think. And you need to talk and listen to the people that are actually doing this. And this is why we did the movie The Middle. It wasn't for, to get a Hollywood fame or anything like that, because by God, it was a, $10,000 documentary that, I put together out of my own pocket, low budget, and I wasn't expecting, I just wanted to tell the story of these people that don't have a voice, right? And this is what this movie was about, and getting their stories out there. So I just want you guys to understand what that is and who these people are, and give them a little recognition for what they deserve. Not myself. I don't consider myself, as I do it. My ufology is getting the word out, analyzing things through the computer myself, breaking a lot of these images down, talking to different ufologists, grabbing a lot of data, going through the geological aspect of things up there on Google, or just continuously reading on geology to try to figure out things that we have on the ground as well, not just up in the sky, right? So these are the things that I do myself, and these people, that do it because it's in their heart to do it. These are the folks that you need to applaud and really pay attention to them, because they are the ones that are out there doing, and they're not crazy, believe me, because on our movie I show the actual videos of what these people caught on their cameras. It's not from somebody else, it's their footage, okay? So, and I wanted to get that across to you guys, and I hope you guys understood what I was trying to say there, and we enjoy doing what we're doing to get the information out. In today's podcast, I just wanted to talk about a little bit about that, and as well, I want to talk about, what's happening, how these aircraft are finding these, of course, the Chinese balloon. We already knew what that was, right? And it just kind of, they took it out of the sky, which is, I thought was the proper thing to do, because we didn't know exactly what this thing was or what it was doing up there. Nobody knew. It just kind of threw itself out there, right? And, the news, people's news and everything kind of goes all over the place sometimes, and sometimes you have to wait just a little bit before we start getting a little bit more of a clearer image, because all we can do is speculate, right, at the very beginning, because we don't know. The only people that knew were those people that were flying those aircraft, right, and the people that were taking them down, those F-18s. I believe there was an F-16 in one of those. So I got some information here that will probably help clear up a little bit, and this is coming from I believe the New York Times. So, and it just says, it says White House officials said on Monday that the military had not yet identified the source of the objects or their purpose, okay? Adding that there was no indication that civilians on the ground were in danger, and that the government would redouble efforts to understand that the nature of the objects and where they came from, okay? So in other words, they were just saying, okay, we have to wait. Of course, this is what they did, right? And, we were trying to just figure out, everybody was trying to figure out what these things were. And that was the difficult part of this whole thing. We were just trying to know exactly what these things were. Were they Tic Tacs? Were they, regular UFOs? Were they just balloons, right? And they said that the long fascinated by the encounters of, with flying objects defy the explanation, it says. The government's efforts to study them as well. And, of course, they have multiple theories on everything that has happened. The White House Secretary, Jean-Pierre, says, confirmed that the administration does not believe that aliens were involved. There is no indication of aliens, extraterrestrial activity, or any of these recent takedowns. That's what she said, right? And, we just try to... I guess they're just trying to clarify things a little bit, and I've always talked about it before, can we trust the government, as far as telling us about UFOs? Probably not, would they tell us? No, they haven't told us since 1947, right? Since the crash of Roswell, and even others that have happened after that. As far as that, but we know that the first one was a spy balloon, because that was shot down by an F-22, and they ended up taking that down, and that was the good thing, that I'm glad they were able to just get it out of the sky, because we didn't know exactly what it was doing, if it was spying on us or whatever, and we had to do it. There was just no ifs, ands, or buts about that part of it, and of course what happened in Alaska and Yukon and Michigan, right? These are the other ones that they shot down, right? So the military shot down unidentified flying objects over the Arctic Ocean near Alaska. Okay, troops in the U.S. Northern Command were working near Dead Horse, Alaska. National Guard units, FBI, and law enforcement recovered the object of determined nature. Okay, so they recovered this object. So the Defense Department says that the area surveillance over where the site was, where this thing had landed. So they already knew where it landed, and they grabbed it. And then it said on Saturday, an F-22 with NORAD downed another object over the Yukon territory. So we all saw that. People have been throwing videos out there of, a UFO or whatever it was out there, and we're getting confused here. It's confusing, because it's confusing the hell out of me. And I'm just trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? Everybody on, Alien Strand Disclosure Project on our site is just, we're just trying to, we're scratching our heads. Is this an actual UFO that they shot out of the sky? Or is it just another balloon? So NORAD, they had sent fighter jets and were soon joined by Canadian fighters to track this object. So they were tracking it as it was going across the Canadian, over Alaska. And then the F-22 used an air-to-air missile over the object, and they used it to down. They used it to down actually 2 previous flying objects at the same time. So, in other words, that's 3 of them already, right? And then the United States took down the 4th device on Sunday over the Lake Huron. An F-16 the jet fighter also shot down another Sidewinder air-to-air missile. So they used a missile to take these things down, right? Because the only reason, I'm going to tell you why they had to take these out. The Chinese balloon was flying a little over 60,000 feet, I think like 63,000. Okay? Most aircraft will fly between, 30,000 feet. Right? So it was still 30,000 feet way above aircraft. So they weren't worried about that part of it. And they didn't want it to if they took it down, it was going to hit over maybe an airplane or just people on the ground, which I can understand that part of it, right? And, of course, the reason they shot down these other ones, because these other balloons, the altitudes were ranging between 20,000 feet and 40,000 feet. So that's right in the mid part of air traffic, right? So, of course, right away, bam, they have to take these whatever they are down because they're getting in the way. Now, the difference between the Chinese balloon that they say that was able to control itself and move in the directions that it was controlled. They're saying that these other ones that they took down, the next 3 or 4, they were not. They were just kind of floating up there. They didn't move. They didn't make any kind of sudden movement, or it was just kind of there. Right, but it was in the way, and they're studying. I mean, they're trying to figure out exactly, what these things were and why they were there in our airspace. And it's dangerous. Really, in reality, it's freaking dangerous. There's so many airplanes that are flying up there. People fly all the time. That thing could have got stuck in the jet engine or whatever if it was a balloon, and it could have, took down 300 or 400 people on an airplane. And that would have been catastrophic. So I get that they had to do this, especially in between the 20,000 and the 40,000 feet. So these are the things that, we have to think about when it comes to things that are up in the sky like this, right? So they're trying to figure out, okay, do we take it down? Do we leave it up there? What do we do? And I've heard things that the radars weren't calibrated at, anything, over the 30 or 40,000 feet, or actually 40,000 and up. So that's why the 60,000 feet, they weren't able to track this thing, right? Our standard NORAD or our standard radar system. So I believe they updated that already because of this incident, and now they're starting to catch a lot of these things, which they were able to catch these other 3 objects that flew over. Now, were they an actual UFO? And that's the $1 million question right there. They actually used a $400,000 missile because that's what these things cost to shoot these down. Very expensive missile. And they have to, that's just the things. There's sometimes price tags don't come until there's a boo-boo in there. They're trying to figure out, okay, somebody messed up. Who's going to pay for this, right? If it was. And now they're starting to say, the news just came out today, which is the 16th of February, that this might have been a $12 hobby balloon. Because there's a group called the Northern Illinois Bottle Cap Balloon Brigade. And they said that they feared on Thursday that it was one of its diligently tracked garbage bags that was recently missing, as the mystery object was probably taken out by the military over Canada on Saturday. So they kind of said, oops, that might have been one of ours. The Pico balloon, it says it's a silver-coated, cylindrically shaped object, reported Friday. It was at 38,910 feet all the way up the West Coast on Friday. So, it was possibly a balloon. And that was the one that was right over the central part of Yukon, the territory at the same time of Lockheed. That's when that F-22 shot it down, okay? And these are the things that sometimes you have to wait for. And this is what I said. You have to wait a little bit Now, do I believe it, all of this? It was, this group shot out all those balloons, by accident. They got away from them, should they be held liable for, a $400,000 missile being shot at each one of those? That's a lot of money, especially if that's what it was. Now, could it be that maybe one of those that was shot down could have possibly been an actual UFO? And they used the balloon theory, or the balloon coup, I'm going to say, to throw us off, because they did actually hit an actual extraterrestrial craft. Could this have possibly been a distraction? We've been talking about this all on our page, on our Alien Strand Disclosure Project page. We, as ufologists, we're all trying to figure out, all kinds of theories and what these things actually were. Now, was the first couple of balloons? Yeah, I believe it was. But one of those, or maybe two of those, may have not have been. The only reason, because it was said that on some of the aircraft, that their panels started getting scrambled. Right? So, in other words, there was some kind of a scrambling device of some sort on these on one of these crafts that they possibly shot down. Just like a UFO, like I talk about a lot of my stories, that when they fly overhead, a lot of your cell phones die, a lot of cameras die. It's that electronic magnetic field that's around it, right? Shoots a pulse of some sort, right? Takes things out so that way you don't film it or see it. And this is a possibility that maybe one of those was, and this balloon theory might be, the extra balloon theory is a distraction. Now, there is an artifact retrieval, and they collect the information off these crafts that they shoot down at times, right? The Defense Department uses these little tactics, and they have to go in there with the highest level of security, right? When they grab one of these crafts, if it is a craft. And they don't use non-classified civilian contracts. In other words, contractors can't go in there. It's got to be straight up military that's going to go grab these things, that if it was a UFO on the ground. So, and a lot of times it involves, a lot of data with artifacts and which is foreign or domestic, that they'll grab off the ground. And they're not going to tell you exactly what it is. But a lot of the data that they get, is from the people that are out there. They're just kind of giving you, okay, this is what I saw. It looked like this. And after they shoot it out of the sky, there they go. Right? So when they recover a UFO, they'll get the bodies of the extraterrestrials. They'll get all the evidence that they can. They use special groups, all military units, right, to get a lot of this stuff off the ground, so civilians can't be involved at all. There was a recovery at Army Sergeant Clifford Stone. This was in 1969. He says he recalls one recovery. It was called Indiantown Gap in Pennsylvania in 1969. This is the craft. I still refer it as a heel shaped, like a heel of a shoe, he says. It had like a canopy on it. Except on the canopy, it didn't fly open like a canopy of a jet. He's explaining exactly what, they saw in 1969. When they're doing this, there's a total process, requires isolation, protection, retrieval, of operations of secrecy. So they have to keep this total hush hush. And this is why we have our, theorists on what this could possibly be a cover up. And they have to grab this stuff, man. It's just they just can't leave it on the ground, for us to grab, of course. Because they have to grab as much data as they can off of this craft if it is a UFO. They have military intelligence agents, they have NORAD, they have NASA, and they're monitoring everything, and they have direct interviews with witnesses when they're doing this stuff, right? And it's just what you see in the movies. It's exactly like that. They got a lot of that from Project Blue Book. They wanted to try to keep a lot of this hush-hush as possible, because they wanted to make sure that whatever back in 1969, that whatever they grabbed wasn't a spy or something from another country, that then they had to figure it out. Now, if it was extraterrestrial, they're not going to tell you that we have this, technologically advanced, aerial vehicle that we shot down, or it came down on its own, and we're going to tell you exactly what was in there, and we're going to show you everything that it had. No, they're not going to do that, man. They're going to keep that technology to themselves so they can be more advanced. And I've talked about this a lot, my podcasts in the past, because I just believe that, if a lot of these, UFOs or whatever people thought that they had back in the 1940s and 50s, and even during the World War II, of course, we talked about Die Glocke, that German, UFO that they bring up on the History Channel as well. If they had this technology and were able to do things like that, I believe they would have pretty much won the war, and it didn't happen that way. Did they have this kind of technology? Maybe hush-hush or just something underground. They just didn't know what they were dealing with, possibly. That is a possibility, that they had something that didn't understand. And this is why we grabbed their scientists and brought them here to the States. Unfortunately, they made the atomic bomb. There's going to be a movie about it. And these are the things that our military has to do, and they do it. I get it. They do it because they have to, make sure that the country is not, in any danger of anything or any, something just horrible happening to the people, right? Any country would do that. They protect it. They protect it in that sense. But if it's something way beyond what we can grasp as human beings and as high and higher than our intelligence, you're damn right they're going to keep that hush-hush. Because I think the name of the game of humanity is to get ahead, right? Because that's what we've been doing. A few years now, we've been getting ahead pretty fast. Now we have AI running a lot of things. It's even taking jobs of some people. Future is sneaking up behind all of us. By the time you know it, you're going to see everything unfold in front of you. As I've been seeing. But my thing is, how did we get as technologically advanced as we have since the 1940s, right? So these are the things you have to think about. How quickly we advanced and as fast as we did. I mean, you saw the technology and the Apollo missions and everything inside those crafts, inside the spaceship. The computers were bigger than a house. Now they say that the technology has advanced so much that what you have in your phone, in your hand, was more advanced than what they used to fly those moon missions. That was what, in the 1960s? Here we are 45 years later, 50 years later. Now you have it in your hand. You know, and these are the things that we have to think about when they shoot down these UFOs or they come down on their own. You know, nothing is outside of being perfect, okay? So you have to remember that. I've always said this, anything man-made will break, right? Your car will break. It'll last for a little while, but it'll break eventually. Your computer, man-made, but it'll break. You can even have a pen in your hand, and it'll break after a while, or you'll run out of ink, right? Man-made. So what makes you think that even though these extraterrestrial craft are up there, that they won't break? They're not human, but they're not perfect. Right? Something can go wrong. What can go wrong will go wrong, right? Murphy's Law. So that's what happens, you know, in these situations that you have to think about. You know, I saw this scientist today. He's a physicist, right? Quantum physics. They were asking him about the UFOs and possibly what it shot down out of the sky, and he laughed about it, just straight up laughed. And he just said, you know, why is an alien ship, people that are a million years ahead of us, going to come down here and just, you know, break down or whatever and allow you to shoot them down? You know, I get that part. But he kind of made fun of that in a sense too, where it's like, they're perfect. There's just no way. There's no way. You know, you can't shoot one down. It's perfect. It's perfect. I don't believe that. I personally believe that, you know, everything's not perfect. Because then we would live in a perfect world. And when these things happen to these craft, they come down hard, they crash, and they try to figure out, you know, how it happened and how they're going to get home if they survived. And these are the things that I question all the time in ufology. My brain is going 150 miles an hour every time something like this happens, right? Just like yours is. And we're trying to figure out exactly what occurred and what happened. And we're trying to break these images down in our brains and our minds. How? Why? When? Where? These are the things that we always ask ourselves. You know, and let's try to figure this out. You know, let's wait a little bit. Sometimes you have to wait just a little bit to get the full story. And this is what I see all the time. You have to wait just a little bit because, you know, a lot of these stories that I tell here on Alien Strand, you know, they're stories of old. Those are my best stories. I love telling those stories because the stories of old have already been told and been figured out most of the time. You know, and they're great stories. Gives you a chance to get multiple witnesses, gives you a chance to get all the data. So let's think about, before we jump into conclusions on what we are possibly seeing in the sky or what is actually being shot down, you know, let's just stop and wait just for a minute. And maybe we'll get the big answer that we've always been waiting for, you know. Are these things going to be here to actually confront us? Are they ready to be shown to us in a grand scale? I have a few ufologists on our groups that do think that something big is coming. That this is the year that something big is coming. And you never know. It might. But then, it might not. You know, and I just hope that you guys kind of sit there and think about it a little bit. Do some reading. Go out there, get your boots on the ground, get your cameras out there. Go out there and, you know, take a drive out in the country, sit out there, get yourself a tripod, maybe a little glass of wine or a beer, sit out there, put your cameras up in the sky, hit record, let it sit up there for about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, hit record, take it back home and go see what you got. You might have a UFO and don't even realize it. And that's the beginning steps of ufology, is getting out there. And I hope you guys do this. It's just a passion of Alien Strand, just to see it grow and just to see you guys grow and just to learn with you guys, and teach you guys a little bit more about ufology, and I'm glad that you guys were here to stick around to today's show. Like I said, you can follow us all of these platforms that we have. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're everywhere. Just look for Alien Strand, just Google Alien Strand. If you want to catch our movie, don't forget it's on Amazon Prime. Go check that out. The video, it's only $2.99. Check it out. Kick back, enjoy with the whole family over the weekend. That's coming up. You won't be disappointed. All right? But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
Executives, Coastal Bend, and Corpus Christi, Texas. And you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. Buying or selling, visit me at kellygreenrealtor.com or visit me on my Facebook page, Kelly Green Realtor. See you there.